Good morning, everybody, or Joe-san. In 20 years from now, if you look back at this conference, or this event, what would you like to see happen out of the people in the audience? I don't care about the people on camera tomorrow, about you. In 20 years from now, I'd like to see a difference. So let me give you the first one. I'm calling it long jumping. Follow with me on this. Let's say we're in Cyberport right now, and we want to get to Causeway Bay, and I said you had a half hour to get there. I'm going to give you the answers, I'll walk it through, but you could think it through yourself. You'd probably say, oh, I drive, get a taxi and we'll get there. You could actually take a taxi to the MTR and you get there in a half hour. What if I said you had to do it in 20 minutes? You'd say, well, we drive a little faster, take the taxi all the way through. What if I said you had to get there in 15 minutes? You do an incremental change. You say, well, maybe we get a police escort, maybe we get a motorcycle. We're going faster and faster and faster. What if I said you had to get there in 7 minutes? Helicopter. Helicopter, that would do it. But what if I said you had to get there in 2? Some people actually, I heard that, are saying, you can't do it. Yes, you can. You can Skype or make a phone call. I didn't say you had to physically be there. I said you had to be there. But by asking a question that's so dynamically different, you get different answers. So I'd ask you this. Is radio exciting? Do you really feel radio's exciting? Can be. The challenge is, if you don't believe it and you don't live it, then how does the rest of the organization see it, and how does everybody outside? And I can tell you from my interviews, from my conversations, I don't hear radio as exciting. I had one person say to me he expects between -2 to +2% growth. But I had another person ask me, how can I get double-digit growth? And I said there's plenty of ways to get double-digit growth. If you believe this is a dead business, get out. There's room for other people. If you want to lead this or your organization, if you want to be different, then you have to believe in it. I think radio has a tremendous amount of opportunity. I've been thinking about it. I'm in Colombia, South America, and I'm hearing this presentation completely in Spanish. I speak some Spanish, and I hear some people behind me say, I can't think in the future. I can't think more than a month into the future. And they all run big box stores for, the analogy I have is like a Walmart or a Home Depot, those type of bigger, an IKEA, big places. And they said, we have 200 employees. We don't have that time. So when the break happened, I walked up and I started talking to them. And I said to one guy, I have a question for you. When your kid, I heard that one of you had just had a baby. He says, yes. I said, when you first conceived, had your baby, did you think about what type of kid you were going to have? He said, of course I did. Boy or girl, we didn't know. I said, did you think about where you were living and you might move? He says, yeah. I said, when your baby was born, did you even think about maybe what they'd be like as teenagers? What they would be like when they graduate, would they go to university? Would they go to uni? Of course we did. I said, did you ever think about maybe them getting married? Well, that's the natural progression. What about becoming abuelos, which is grandparents in Spanish? And they said, of course, everybody does that. And I said to them, so you can think 50 years in the future about your child, but you can't even think a year or 2 in the future about your business? Now, some people say you can't predict the future. I believe you can. The future is based on cycles, trends, and patterns. I can guarantee you I can predict the future right now, and I can do it every day. In a year from now, it'll be spring. In a year from now, you'll be a year older. In a year from now, we can look at cycles, trends, and patterns and be absolutely right of what those things are going to be. Well, I bet you in radio, if you were to spend some time, you'd see there's cycles, trends, and patterns that can amplify looking at tomorrow. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I just heard it again, and I've heard it again with 93 or 92% of the people listening to radio. I heard this, radio is local. And I said, God, is nobody looking at the future? See, radio is local if you're old. If you are a millennial, what is local? Global. So being local and using that term and not understanding what millennials consider to be local, local is the Facebook group that they have, which they have people in Seattle, they have people in New York, they have people in Maine, they have people in Florida. So are you going to be local and meeting the needs of the future? Think outside the box. There is no box. There never will be a box. Actually, I've been asking very successful innovators, do they ever use the term think outside the box? I asked it because I asked myself. I never use the term think outside the box. I never say to myself, I've got to think outside the box. As in reality, great innovators think in the box. What we do is we build a whole life set of experiences, coming to NAB and learning about radio, being on a Maersk shipping liner, working in San Francisco, and being around experiences. So when we have a challenge or an opportunity, we create a set of criteria, and we start pulling and putting them in the box. We modify them, toss them out, and put them in the box again. And we modify them again, and we put them back until we find something that's new and creative. I was just with the head of KPMG's innovation, and he said, that's exactly what I do. I always thought I was doing it the other way. But what we're doing is we're sitting down and saying, what are our life's experiences? That's what we pull from. We pull from that trip to Bangladesh. And we say, how can we use jugad, that's an Indian term, to become more innovative? We pull from different places so that we can be innovative. So I challenge you in your organization, if you are going to tell your people to be innovative, prove that you're innovative. And normally what they do for competitive analysis, they go get someone else's product and they bring it in and they say, this is what the competition is looking at, we're going to be innovative. Realize a product that's on the shelf was somebody came up with that 2 or 3 years before. That's not today. That's innovation of yesterday. So I'll end with this, because I don't want to go past the time, is that life does not give you A's for effort. Life gives you A's for results. If you're not spending the time improving yourself and outside of the industry, learning and growing from other experiences, learning about other places, being at NAB, which is great, is only one place. When was the last time you learned to play a violin? When was the last time you took a course in pottery? When was the last time you traveled to Bangladesh, India, Copenhagen? So you can bring back new ideas. You can learn humility about learning. But you at the same time could change the way in which you do business. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes effort. And I think you have a bright future. The challenge is, do you?
So what I'd like to leave you with is this, a call to action at this point. What could you do differently, knowing that you know a little bit more about education after today? I'd like you to pick 3 people in your world that you can help educate and help them find happiness in the world in which they're building. I'd like you to find 3 people and have them take 3 more people and teach them to grow and develop. And work at it and see how difficult it is to grow people. If you do that over the next year and they then take on others, we will change the world together. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.